Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 16th, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully, the day has treated you well. Hopefully, it treated you nice. As for me, as for mine, I would say it was a good day. We made it through. I will say it was another rough start. I have just had the worst, I wouldn't say the worst sleep week. I've definitely had worse sleep cycles for a week, but this one's not been the greatest, that's for sure. I tried to be diligent. I literally went to sleep 5 minutes earlier than usual. I was that tired, and so I went to sleep. I went to bed thinking, okay, we're gonna get a good night's rest. I want to say I woke up around 4 o'clock though, and I was like, I guess I'm up. Like I just couldn't get back to sleep, so I got up. I think I was up till like about 5, which is about like an hour and a half before my alarm was gonna go off. And I was like, yeah, let's try to go to sleep. And luckily, I did get a little bit more sleep, which I think did carry me through the day. But I just woke up just feeling so dragged out, so tired, not feeling good at all. Um, and then I think that there's a thing going with this medication that I'm currently taking that is just like in the morning taking it just does not feel good. I don't feel great. So I was going to work and I was just like, ugh, I feel bad. I don't feel good. But we get there, we manage, we rally, and overall work was slow, uh, stringy, but there was enough work to get me through the whole day, and I didn't have to go upstairs because I really didn't want to go upstairs. There was even a couple of times where I literally like spent like 5 minutes or so outside in the hot heat, just like sitting around with maintenance. Just because like I just didn't want to go up there, not because of any other reason. I just didn't want to trudge around looking for putback work. I'm just like it's just not that kind of week. I guess that is what my heart is telling me. So luckily, I was able to make pretty much a full day. And actually, too, they didn't change out the crusher for some reason, so it did fill up, which was really annoying because like it was slow and it shouldn't have been filled up, but it did. So like I think I did wind up leaving with like one buggy, and I was just like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. I want to go. I want to go to the gym. So we did go to the gym. I didn't want to go take a nap. We did have a pretty good gym session. I kind of came in with the intention of saying, hey, today's going to be more of a leg focused day, even though I'm hitting like everything like I usually do. That turned out pretty well. I feel like I didn't like overexert myself or anything like that, so that's good. I don't feel too crazy, too sore. But as I was coming home from the gym, there was I had this like weird feeling in my stomach. I don't know what it was. I just felt so off. And I just remember like coming home, immediately turning on the living room fan and just like sitting there for like a few minutes, just getting my composure. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe everything's just kind of coming together. It's just a weird week for me. I don't know. But I just kind of sat there for a second, collected myself, uh, went to my room and proceeded just to like veg out for a little bit, just like, watch some stuff. And that kind of helped. I felt like just thirty minutes of just like enclosure time. I don't know. Kind of brought me back. Then I had my snack. And then, or no, and then I had a stretch. And then I had my snack. So luckily we didn't miss anything there. So that was good. But yeah, just I don't want to say it was a rough day. Just physically, just was a little bit bumpy. I guess you could say a little bit of turbulence with it. But overall, I'd say I feel good now. Feel better now, ish. For the most part, all things considered. But yeah, that was my day. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into the news. There's a good amount to cover. Hopefully, y'all are staying hydrated out there. Okay. Our first story comes from CBS News. Maps show wildfire smoke forecast, air quality alerts due to pollution from Canadian Minnesota fires. Heavy smoke from wildfires blazing in Canada and Minnesota is engulfing large swaths of the Midwest and Northeast U.S. this week, impacting air quality as millions of people are exposed to hazardous levels of air pollution. More than 100 wildfires are burning in Canada, and winds are carrying the smoke southeast. Multiple wildfires are raging in northern Minnesota. I want to say I started noticing covering this a year or two ago. I want to say like it was making big news that like there were wildfires in Canada that just happened. That's just the way they are, and literally the smoke will just float down to us, and like we just get these hazy like days that we just kind of have to like deal with. And I mean, it felt like par for the course in terms of like, global warming, climate change, all that bullshit. But to know that that wasn't like a one off, but like kind of just going to be the trend, it's just going to kind of come and go for the summers now. Like we just have Canadian wildfire smoke that just comes through and hits, New York, or it hits the Midwest. So a lot of the talk has been focused on that this week. I even noticed it in Ohio. But what I didn't know about was the wildfires in Minnesota. So that was, a news update for me. I was like, okay, well, that's good to, bring that to the table as well. High levels of fine particulate matter in the air from smoke can be unhealthy, especially for sensitive groups such as children and people with heart or lung conditions. Now they go through like various areas that have been affected: Detroit, Minneapolis, Chicago, Pennsylvania is mentioned. I noted Ohio since that's a local one for me. But yeah, I mean New York, Philadelphia, Boston. We could go through all of it, but a lot of the North, some of the Midwest is all getting hit by this shit. So much so that they are advising people in like New York to get like N95 style masks, which I feel like we really haven't had that kind of conversation since the last, wildfire situation. And then before that, talking COVID and all that shit. So yeah, just something to, be mindful of, always check the air quality. It is at least good to know, going out. So at least you're prepared for that. And if you do got to be out in this heat, try to limit it. Obviously stay hydrated, all that kind of stuff. Cause yeah, even the air is kind of bad. But yeah, I mean, so it goes. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Bit more, I mean, I don't want to say that the last story wasn't serious, but now we got to talk about a murder from ABC News. 14-year-old arrested in murder of Polisa. 14-year-old arrested in murder of pizza delivery driver. A 14-year-old has been arrested and charged in the murder of a pizza delivery driver in Philadelphia in what police say was an attempted robbery. Sincere Camps, 14, is facing 10 charges, including murder, robbery, and carrying a firearm without a license, according to the Philadelphia Police Department in court records. He's being charged as an adult, which, I mean, I understand a murder, but, like, this is a 14-year-old. Like, and he did an adult thing. It's like, it just feels like you're going above and beyond to make sure that this person is as buried in a jail cell, and it's buried under the jail. I mean, I already don't like that on the offset, but once again, I do understand that we are on the top of, hey, this person was murdered. This delivery driver, who was a 28-year-old Ansel Kuncha, was shot. He had suffered a gunshot wound to the back of the head. He was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead shortly after, according to police. Police said the motive behind the killing was robbery. Camps was arrested Friday following investigation. So yeah, I mean, a little bit more details in terms of him being held without bail and all that. If I do get more details on this, the outcome in the future, we'll come back and close it out if it makes some headlines. It's just an unfortunate story. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sit here and say like, oh, we let this person out. Da, 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 da. Like I get that. I understand that is an extreme ass end of the conversation and the spectrum of this fucking thought about what to do about incarceration, corrections and rehabilitation, whatever. I'm trying to fucking get at. But like when I hear that and I read that out loud, a 14-year-old is going to be charged as an adult. It's just like So we're gonna time travel 6 years into the future because of the crime. Like, how does that ever make sense? Like, I can rationalize it a bit if we're talking like months or whatever, but just like that alone, like just charge it within the stipulations of what it is. Like, and I know it's like that's not going to solve anything, it's not going to change, but neither is this. It just frustrates me to see that. That's all I can say, I guess. But yeah, I didn't want to get too stuck in on this. Let's move on to our next story. We're kind of zigzagging for this episode. This is a BBC story. Let's see. Zelensky's removal of popular defense minister sparks protests in Ukraine. Excuse me. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's surprise move to replace popular defense minister Mikhailo Fedorov has caused an outburst of anger from civil society and protests from MPs. A crowd of mostly young people gathered in Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities on Thursday morning, holding up signs reading "Hands off Fedorov" and "Stop sabotaging victory" and chanting "Shame." By evening, Zelensky had put forward the name Major General Yevgeny Kamara, the acting head of the Security Service, or the SBU, as acting defense minister. Kamara has gained extensive and, in many respects, unprecedented experience with technological combat operations, Zelensky said. Initial rumors that the end of Fedorov's tenure was related to tensions between him and Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky were all but confirmed by Fedorov himself and Zelensky. On Thursday, Fedorov revealed that he had suggested to Zelensky that Syrsky and Chief of the General Staff Andriy Hanatov should be replaced. Zelensky, speaking at a press conference with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, dude, what a lame duck, acknowledged that the conflict between the General Staff and the Defense Ministry had been systematic and occurred at various levels, and that Syrsky and Fedorov would only work together with his mediation. When the president said he had a plan to replace Syrsky, I said I would learn to work with him, Fedorov said at his own press conference. But all the initiatives we proposed were blocked, he added. Instead of finding a way of defeating Russia asymmetrically, which is the commander-in-chief's job, he found a way of splitting our country, Fedorov said of Syrsky. In a curt message, Syrsky wrote on Telegram that he was proud of the defense operation that was mounted around Kyiv in 2022 when Russian troops were closing in, and he said he would continue to focus on the war and on an effective strategy before wishing Fedorov continued success. Fedorov, 35, was appointed only in January, but has been credited with energizing the ministry, heading a drive against corruption, and using data to analyze and try to improve performance on the front line. So what I've been hearing a lot is that like Fedorov, young guy, which hey, as someone who is 35 and feels like old bones, nice to hear that on the news. They're saying that's young. Okay, I hear you. But no, they're saying like, hey, this young guy, he's really like he's revitalizing the effort, the war effort. Like things feel better with this dude, kind of rooting out this guy, that guy. It seems like he's busting heads and things are changing and he's going for more modern approaches or yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Cool. More drones, I guess. I don't fucking know. But they were liking the cut of this guy's jib, but internally there was a lot of fucking, squabbling, I guess. And so it's all come to a head. And Zelensky had to roll another head, which is crazy because you would think that this is not the guy you would pick. You would actually go for, one of the old heads. But I guess, Zelensky's going for, I don't know, battle hardened experience. I don't fucking know. I don't think this decision really is going to change much on the battlefield either way. So, to me, in a certain kind of sense, it's a bit of a nothing burger, but I know that I would cover this if there wasn't a conflict, right? Like some defense minister losing their job, especially in a situation where I believe it's been like less than a year around that or something like that, and he was put in here to root out corruption, and yet now he's the first guy out, or like not maybe the first guy out, but an earlier guy out. Like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. So that's definitely something I'd want to touch on, no matter what. So yeah, I figured we cover it there. I'm sure there's more details, but we can go ahead and move along. Let's hit the next story. We're going back to the U.S., and we're hitting Texas. Let's see. From the Associated Press. Texas flash floods leave at least 2 dead in region devastated a year ago. Taking a little water break. Okay. Catastrophic flash floods in Texas have killed 2 people and forced hundreds of rescues in areas still reeling from devastating floods a year ago, Governor Greg Abbott said Thursday. Rescuers aboard boats and helicopters saved more than 200 people, including stranded drivers and people trapped in homes, Abbott said. The governor said the hardest hit areas are expecting more rain into Friday and are not out of danger yet, with some rivers expected to reach historic levels. After days of pounding rain, the National Weather Service said a large wave on Thursday barreled down the same river wrecked by flash floods last summer when 24 children and counselors died at Camp Mystic. So that is devastating. Also, too, it's one of those things where um, I'm always like, I mean, I live in Ohio, it's a small state. So when I hear like a place like California, or I hear a place like Texas and they get bad weather, and you hear like one spot, you go, okay, that's pretty fucked up. But then you realize like the stretch of this, I'm like, damn, that like would go like across my entire state or something. And I'm not saying that's the scope of this storm. I don't know. I'm not on my weather shit right now. But it's just getting the full scope of nature sometimes really can just rock your world when you sit down and you really just, think about it. It's like, damn, son, tornadoes are fucking crazy. Hurricanes are fucking wild. I don't know. That shit will always. I have a bit of a terror, awesome terror when it comes to thinking about tornadoes and I don't think about flash floods, even though that I live by like a little lagoon lake ass fucking thing near my apartment that could like one day fill up. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling here. Let's see here. They do go through various areas that got hit, but I didn't want to talk about the some of the victims, 2 victims at least that we know of so far. The governor said one of the victims was driving on a flooded road and was swept away near Uvalde, while the other died in Kerr County. Janie Stewart said the body of her husband, 65-year-old John Mark Stewart of Kerrville, was found Thursday. She was visiting her parents when a neighbor called overnight, saying her husband was missing after water had risen to the door of their mobile home, which stood off the ground. The entire home was swept up off the platform and floated down Goat Creek on the Guadalupe. It's really hard that I wasn't there with him, she said. The 2 last spoke by phone Wednesday to celebrate their 3rd anniversary. So that's really sad. There were, I guess to a certain extent, some triumphs in the sense of people were kind of more prepared. Some areas were a little bit more prepared because it had just happened last year. So there's a little bit more alerts that were set in place so people could react and say, hey, get to higher ground, get to safety. So that definitely saved a lot of lives, but that's from grim preparation, from literally having to experience the same thing last year, and you maybe just started to put your pieces together. You're just trying to get a hold of your life, and then there's another fucking storm, and now you gotta do that shit all over again. You're starting back once again, probably less than zero. It feels like so. That fucking sucks. It's just there's no clean good answer, no silver lining rainbow to this shit, really. But you know, it's hard. It's rough, man. Mother Nature, dude. Every fucking year, it's again and again and again. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's more, but we're trying to condense things for the sake of time. I had one more story that I wanted to yap about real quick. It's a bit of an update on the whole explosive diarrhea gate, cyclosporiasis. There you go. I think I'm saying it a little bit better there. But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out with the potential source. There should be a joke about leaks or something. I'm just not gonna make it. All right, from NBC News. Iceberg lettuce supplier investigated as possible source in cyclosporiasis outbreak. The Food and Drug Administration is investigating iceberg lettuce supplied to Taco Bell's by Taylor Farms as a possible source in an escalating outbreak of cyclosporiasis, a stomach bug that causes weeks of severe diarrhea in 4 states, according to a person familiar with the investigation. Goes into some more details that we talked about in the previous episode, but the fact that this is potentially, it goes all the way to the bell, dude. And you gotta ring that motherfucker, boom. It's a Pavlovian response. You start explosively shitting. So I mean, I don't think this would surprise anyone if this does drop back to old, you okay with Taco Bell? I don't know. I feel like since the last Taco Bell run, Zoe and I went on, I don't know. I have beef. I definitely have beef with the establishment, but hey, I know you can't take these things personal. Sometimes you just have bad nights, and hey, maybe they're having a bad year right now with this with this doo-doo investigation. I'm sorry. I know it's not funny. I mean, everybody's pooping. I do love the memes. I'm not gonna lie. Motherfuckers are like, hey, I don't know if this is the diarrhea or if this is just another day. You know what I mean? I feel that. I understand that. That's a relatable thing to me. But hey, people are using this as an excuse to, just not eat lettuce. And I mean, hey, more power to you, man. I get it. It's scary out here. You don't want to roll the dice. But I am I'm about to eat a fucking salad, so wish me luck. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. That's gonna be the episode. If you'd like to help out support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/ZaneNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up at zanenews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing's caring. All the stars, high reviews, always appreciated. We'd love to see it. But if you don't do any of that, that's okay. I really just appreciate you hanging out. I really just appreciate you listening. It's always nice to know that there's someone on the other end. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.